Hey, good morning, everybody. We are here with a Severe Lack of Talent podcast. Great day to be alive if your house smoke alarms don't go off all the time. I am Robbie Perry. I'm joined with
Rob Perry.
Robbie Perry as well.
And Robbie Perry here.
Oh, hey, welcome to Severe Lack of Talent. We've got a great show lined up for you. Lots of great topics. We're going to get into it, and we're all going to do it from Robbie Perry's point of view. So, we're going to go ahead and get kicked off with our escape and our scapegoat of the week. Very popular segment. We were getting lots and lots of emails, which is just one, or comments on there about it. So we're really excited. So no, I'm just kidding.
100%
Please,
increase.
if you've got any comments, we want to see them. And we're going to get our email address up next week. And we've got a great announcement. We have a shirt that's available for the public. We'll have that out, and that's going to go to charity. So we'll have that for you later. But let's start off with, we'll go with ladies first.
Okay, great. So my goat this week is the fact that the Nats are coming to Fredericksburg to practice, and I don't have all the details. I did see it on announcement on y'all's social media, so maybe you can, after I'm done with my escape, you can tell us a little more about what's going to happen.
For sure.
Okay, cool. My scapegoat did happen like maybe 2 weeks ago, but do you guys know Jose Quintana?
Yes.
I'm like Quintana. So he's a left-hand pitcher, right? And he's in his 8th year of his career. Kind of had his worst year last year. Well, he's washing dishes the beginning of July and decided to cut his thumb on one of his knives. And so he had to have like surgery, orthoscopic surgery to get it fixed. And they don't know how long he's going to be out, but he'll never wash another dish again. I think that's just so shady.
You know,
We look for ways to get at housework.
That's a little dramatic.
Well, yeah, we always look for it. I remember my ex-wife asked me to weed the garden, help her weed the garden one day, and I said, okay. I went out, and if it was green and I didn't like it, I removed it. And it turns out I removed everything.
Wow.
I mean, that's just what we do.
If you don't want to do something, do it bad, so we
No,
don't.
you do it great.
Go above and
I
beyond.
actually think he cut his hand. It was a fork that I think that did it.
Well, they said a knife.
Did they say a
They
knife?
did. They said it was while he was washing one knife, but it was on his left hand. So it's like, did he do that on purpose because he had such an awful year last year too? Like,
Yeah,
but
I remember he had hurt it like real bad. He was out. Like,
he's gonna be out. They don't know if he'll be able to pitch this
crazy.
year. Yeah.
I mean,
For the
but
thumb.
but if you think about it, though, I mean, these athletes, I mean, they have home lives.
Oh,
And,
he was down. Yeah.
You've heard of people slipping and and getting hurt, sneezing and getting hurt.
They're human. Well, let's all give him a thumbs up for this because he's
Wow.
watching, obviously, right?
Wow.
So, tagging in on that, did you read with Patrick Mahomes' new contract? It came with a list of things that he can't do.
Oh yeah, what
Riding
are they?
jet ski was one of them.
Of course.
Oh
Of
my
course.
gosh.
So I mean,
The tragedy.
No motorcycle. I'm
no
sure.
motorcycles. But so you just signed one of the richest deals ever, and you can go to work, and you can go home.
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel like that's a bit dramatic to say that if you can't ride a jet ski or a motorcycle, then the only thing you can do is work.
that's what's left. I mean,
like you don't know.
there's a long list of things that it's like you can't play pickup basketball.
I was saying he definitely can't play pickup basketball.
There is a long list
Really?
of things.
Oh, yeah.
It's not. Hey, these are the two things you're excluded from. So I mean,
Like no skydiving, no things like that. I mean, that's obvious, but definitely pickup basketball is the number one usually that
I believe
they
Yeah.
say, hey, if you roll your ankle, break your ankle, playing pickup,
Blow out your knee.
weekend or blow out your knee, they can void your contract.
I wonder who did that. So
You don't know you're gonna miss something until someone tells you no. Like
Right.
you can't do it.
Yeah.
You're like, but I want to do it.
yeah, when you sit there, I'm like, oh, I don't mind about that. I'm signing this contract.
Yeah.
Wait, this was 10 years. Wait a second.
Wait, that's like the best years of your life.
So
Yeah, but it's also
He could
$500 million.
He could also buy all the jet skis he wants and use them for whoever he
years.
wants after.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, maybe we should go through and see exactly what he can and cannot do, and how much of that we are actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Pick up basketball.
Good.
All right, so those were good. Those were
Cool.
good.
Great.
Nick.
All right, so I'm not gonna lie. This week I actually struggled a bit. I found a lot of goats. This week. But real quick, I'm gonna go ahead and say that I'm giving my goat to Wimbledon. I'm gonna give my goat to Wimbledon. I don't know if you guys heard what happened. They have canceled Wimbledon, but in doing so, and I don't know how they've been able to make this work. They're going to pay out the overall purse of winnings. They're pooling it, and they're paying it out to everybody who qualified, over 600 players. They're paying out the winnings so that that there's a lot of some players that don't need to win Wimbledon in order to make their living. But out of those 600 players, there are some that do.
I'm gonna give you. That's good. I
Good for
didn't
them.
see that
Yeah,
either, but I'm gonna give that is worth a go.
That's big of them. And then on top of that too, I don't know how they made it work. How are they able to pay that out without all of the revenues from TV? I don't know, and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Tennis
We don't have
is
to
a
get
rich
into that.
sport, though.
It is,
and they're
is.
very smart with their money too. So I believe, I believe it.
Oh yeah, so that's my go to the week, just because I
Nice.
think it's very, very big of them to be able to do that. And there's a system based on your ranking how much you get, but I mean the lowest amount that they're paying out to players is almost 10,000
Oh, wow.
pounds.
Oh,
10,000 pounds.
Wow.
So yeah, good
After
good
the
on
exchange
Wimbledon.
rate, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good payout.
It definitely is. So that's my go to the week. I'm gonna dive right into my scape of the week. It's a pretty easy one for me. My scape of the week is Zion Williamson's stepfather.
Oh.
Man, just why do the big names? It happens to all of them. Happens to all of them. Accepted $400,000 kind of randomly, just a couple months before Zion Williamson signed with Duke.
Mike Krzyzewski.
My Coach K.
You
The
always
Coach
back
K
again,
ain't
striking
clean.
again.
He ain't clean.
You always knew, or you always hoped that it would never strike Duke.
Yeah.
I mean, you always wanted to make sure it would never strike.
For some reason, Duke and North Carolina, right? It's always them.
How far down on this investigation have they gotten?
I don't think very far. I think ESPN, a rival newscast, very small.
Yeah.
They just broke this news just yesterday.
It was a lawsuit, right?
Yeah, there's also a lawsuit going on, so there's a lot revolving around it. But I guess my question would be, it's not that it was $3,000. There's no way he won a bet with a friend. $400,000.
Well, the other shame is
there's
that
only.
if
Y'all
you
aren't
look
smart.
at it, look at what he's done. He got hurt when he first came out, and because he was injured before COVID, under the Players Association rules, he was allowed to stay with the team in the team training facility, and they said he is in beast shape.
A beast. I saw
They
pictures.
said that he is in
beast.
beast shape. He is more ready now than ever. They said he looks.
That's
his game has improved. I mean,
He looks like a linebacker.
Yeah,
Like, without the fat.
That's really good for him because
Yeah.
I mean honestly he was just not good to start off the season when he was playing.
so I mean, I think the sad thing is, here's a guy who's now worked his tail off.
By the way, that was very sarcastic.
I was
That
like,
is-
he was.
he's a monster as is. So if we're talking about him improving much more, I think a lot of the rumors about Zion Williamson being as good as his potential could come to fruition in a big way.
But I think this with his dad that's going to take a lot of wind out of the sails.
Well, and also, I know we've talked about it in the past. It just goes further. The 1 year for college basketball
it's not worth it.
It's just not working. They're getting paid. Let them go to the draft or let them stay in the NBA longer.
But that's why they've talked about paying these players in some way, shape, or form. And I've got a great stat to talk about a little bit later, which ties into it. But there is revenue money available for these players. You've played NCAA pro football. Not pro football. NCAA football on EA Sports had the college football game.
Right.
Somebody was getting paid the name and likeness for those.
Yeah.
They should. I mean, those players should be getting, and it is huge money. You've
Big
got
money.
the jerseys for the players in college, so
It just, I guess my one thing is that I do agree. These guys should be able to go. You tell me Zion Williamson, his draft stock would have been hurt if he went a year earlier.
He
Even
would have
another
been
one
the
pick
number
still. I share the same opinion as Robbie. You've got to be able to let these guys go.
But the other thing is,
you do in
if you're
baseball.
Duke, if you're any college team, okay, is $400,000 for one season versus the potential of being fined or having the death sentence on your program or have your entire coaching career go up in smoke worth it? I think there's more. I think there's more that has to really be looked at.
I see both sides. I
both
think in
sides.
football, because you're getting them at least 3 years. For those big SEC schools and those big that pay money, I get that a little bit more. But is it worth it for 1 year? I mean, I guess from a shoe perspective,
Well,
maybe
when
the
But the
George
potential
Hills-
loss
I don't.
doesn't equate to the short-term gain.
When George Mason had their now this is obviously not comparing George Mason to Duke. The history of those programs are apples and oranges. But when George Mason made that Cinderella run
Go Patriots.
to the all the way Elite Eight, I believe.
I think it was Elite Eight.
Elite Eight.
Yeah.
That next year they saw a 37% increase in applicants. There is statistics that back
Okay,
up.
It's a community. When you have like a good team,
There is
But you're,
statistics
but
to
you're,
back
but you're,
up
but
that
you're
the,
using the, so then you're saying that the conspiracy goes deeper than the school. I mean, it goes to the school. I mean, a 33% increase in applicants.
Oh.
They still have they're not at a shortage of having people come in the
I
school.
think we are being naive if we think that the only people doing it are the actual people on the basketball and football teams.
No,
I
no,
think we're
I'm
being
just- but
naive
I'm-
at that.
but I'm
I
also telling you,
absolutely think it goes deeper.
George Mason has not been hurting for any applicants. It's not like they sat there and go, "Oh my God, we're 33% short on applicants. We need to go ahead and find a way to boost it."
Yeah, but when you take
I mean,
into
if it's dollars.
consideration, but when you take into consideration that, now your school can grow.
but you're not gonna want to turn away applicants. You want to continue to
But
be
they only-
competitive.
you
But it
grow
makes
more.
you more
But
competitive.
they only have
Yeah.
so many seats. They only have so many
but it
beds.
makes it more competitive. So now you're getting students that might like actually finish, bring up their GPA.
I would just say
Or
that
pay
Mason.
more.
I would say
Yeah.
Mason doesn't
Or pay
have
more.
a problem with that. But hey, that's
Well, I mean, that everybody wants more applicants. Every school is going to want more applicants to apply to their school.
a little fast fact. I graduated in the Patriot Center.
There
That's
you
where
go.
high school graduation.
I
was.
like it. I like it.
But a lot of them are shoe deals as well.
Yep.
If Duke is Nike, which I think it is, a lot of those have been the Nike reps paying these players as well.
Yeah, that's
saying-
what that big.
That's what Louisville was.
That's
I
what the
think it
Louisville-
was
Well,
Adidas.
And Louisville went a little bit further with that with Patino.
Well, for sure. But the big thing was they were.
But yes,
it
yes.
was the shoe companies basically being. Like almost like a lobbyist, if anything.
yes,
you know,
yes.
like they were
Well, and
paying
they were
them under
also
the table
too-
to come
Oh, yeah,
to
of
them.
It
course,
wasn't just
Yeah.
players; they're paying AAU coaches.
Yeah.
They're paying the AAU coaches, which
Yeah.
is really the breeding ground.
Just
if you
start
will,
swaying,
of
to
the
start
biggest
swaying
talents.
them one way or the other.
Yeah.
Anything they can get to get people thinking.
Oh,
Yeah.
AAU started to become so huge with
Huge.
like recruiting.
Oh yeah,
I used to
yes.
go to like tournaments where it would be you go by yourself and it was a showcase tournament and you
Yeah.
would just get thrown into the mix and
Yeah.
but they had scouts all the time there.
AU
Oh, yeah.
is huge.
Or any travel now. I met someone that her kids are like 6 and 7 and they're on travel track and I didn't even know that existed for that age. Travel track teams.
That's strange.
Wow.
Oh, right. No, but sports has gotten to it.
Travel.
Travel track.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, I guess it makes sense. I mean, when we're all looking to find out if your child is the best of the best of the
Yeah.
best. I mean, my sisters they were bummed about not going to the Junior Olympics for swimming, and that brings up a whole topic of who's more competitive: is the children or the parents?
Parents, for sure.
Oh, and-
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's living.
There's a lot I didn't get to finish and see through. My kids, I'm going to live through them on
Yeah.
this one.
You're gonna go to the Olympics, and that's the way it's
But
gonna be.
the best thing is, like, seeing your kids actually enjoy things.
Yeah.
My son started throwing, I wasn't huge, I didn't play softball, but we were throwing the baseball the other day, and he's 5. And the way he just cocked it back and threw it, I mean, he's playing
Got you
baseball.
fired up.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, got me so fired up.
So when I look back at I swam, and I look back, I was never the best swimmer. But when you look at from age group on up, I was the only one that made it through 4 years of college still swimming from a lot of my peers that were incredibly better. I think a lot of it has to say about how you're brought through the sport, where you end up going. You know, if you go to a school that you're just cattle to them, and
Another,
and they're just
How
moving
can
you.
you handle that?
You know
A lot
how
of
that
times,
happens.
And if
parents
you
will also
enjoy
burn
it,
you out.
yeah. So if you enjoy it,
Yeah,
like
that's-
Oh,
sometimes
for sure.
you're playing a sport that you really don't enjoy. You know,
It's a chore.
yeah,
it's
a
not fun
chore,
anymore.
and that
Yeah.
happens a lot. Sometimes you love it, and then you love the hard work, and then it's and those are the ones usually that make it great, big time. Is that they're very athletically gifted,
But then they love it.
also love being obsessed with it.
The
You know,
passion,
They love,
yeah.
That doesn't happen as often, obviously.
No, but I think you're right.
it's
I
important.
think it's also the support network that goes through it.
100%.
If you're not with the right coaches, if you're
Oh,
not
yeah.
with the right teammates,
You might love it, and it will get
and then
fizzled out.
they'll yank that love from the sport right away.
Yeah.
from
Going to practice and a practice seeming like a chore is one thing, but if you are actually have when you go to your games, if you're a child and you go to your games and you still think that the game is a chore,
There's an
God.
issue.
No.
There's an
Oh,
issue.
for
But
sure.
you know what's really funny? And you played.
Yep.
I miss. We all played sport. I miss practice. I miss the practice, the camaraderie at practice.
Yes.
As much as
Yep.
as much, if not more so than the actual event. I talked to my old coach. He just retired this year, and we were just talking. I go, at the end of the day, I miss practice.
Yeah.
And it's
Talking
just
about practice.
practice. Practice. We want to talk about practice.
Talk about practice.
God love Jim Mora.
Yeah.
All right, sir, you got something for us?
Yes. Okay, so my scape of the week is the NFL because yesterday, the NFL and the NFLPA, so not just the NFL, we're putting it on both. Kind of this goes in line that they're putting their head in the sand a little bit regarding dealing with the big issues with COVID. What happens if players get COVID? What happened to, okay, how do we, does a team take a week off? What are the big questions? Now, they have been having a ball figuring out the little things. For example, NFL teams going to the stadium, both teams need to travel by bus. On-field fan seating is prohibited, which is, it was a no-brainer. Media will be banned from the locker room, which is good.
That's a
that's
no-brainer.
very good.
Yeah.
They're probably hoping that's going to stick. And then this is the big one, and thank God they got this figured out. NFL teams will be forbidden from post-game interactions within 6 feet of each other, and jersey exchanges between players will be prohibited.
Glad we solved that problem.
Glad we solved that. No touching in football. We all know that. So they're saying that these guys will be able to tackle each other, be at the line, literally grab each other all
Spitting on
games,
each other.
spitting on each other. I mean, literally
Bear hugging each other.
bear hugging each other. But after the game, they can't be within 6 feet of each other, and no jersey exchanges.
Well,
nailed
this,
it.
at least for Bill Belichick, it means he won't have to try to scowl the other
That's
coach.
true. That's true. They don't
I mean,
have the.
statistically speaking, we do know that the only way COVID travels is through handshakes. So
Absolutely.
This makes sense.
Yeah.
And jersey
And jersey exchanges.
So they got that figured out. So the NFL has got to get it figured out quickly, dealing with these big issues.
But they've got, players are saying that they don't want to wear masks, the masky face shields, which, college hockey players wear those
bubbles,
the full face shield. So I don't know. I think both sides are going to have to sort of give and take.
Yeah.
And they all know. In the sport of football, once you're at the bottom of the pile.
Yeah, there's kind of anything goes.
But the training camp starts in 3 weeks. It's not that
soon.
far away.
It's soon.
Technically, the Hall of Fame game would be less than a month away.
Well, I think the players they want to skip all of the preseason football games. Good idea, bad idea. I don't know. If you're a veteran, it's a great idea.
Oh yeah.
If you're the guy that was drafted, that's the walk-on from wherever.
trying
It's
to earn
probably
your
not
spot,
a good
yeah.
idea. But they're going to have to increase the teams' sizes. Practice squads are going to have to be bigger.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't, they're fooling themselves.
Yeah.
Baseball's going 60-man
Yeah.
squads. That's double their normal squad. The NFL
You have to just to be ready in case there's an outbreak on your team.
But are they quarantining their players? That's not like NBA. NBA. These players are all quarantined. Are NFL players right now? Are they all self-quarantining until training camp?
I think they already started moving to the bubbles because
There's no bubble in the
There's
NFL.
no bubbles yet. That's
Well,
the
no, because the
bubble.
WNBA moved and it was a huge
Yes.
fiasco there.
Yeah, the NBA is actually moving in. That was, by the way, we can get to it later, but that was one of my runner-up goats
Yeah.
of the week as the NBA players.
But NFL players right now, technically, if they said let's say we're NFL players. Let's say we're playing for the Washington Redskins.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We could do
Yeah.
that.
So let's say we're playing the Washington Redskins. Hey, you guys are going to be reporting July 27th. Make sure to take care of yourself. I'm working out and I'm not doing anything else until then. Are players doing that? Is that a thing that is being communicated? Hey guys, we need you to take care of yourself.
Well, for training camp, the Redskins are in Richmond, and they stay. I want to.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Really?
their training facilities in Richmond. I want to say it's at the Omni Hotel.
Yeah.
That they're at.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, we announce that top secret information.
Yeah, that's cool though. I
So
know.
and they do take buses. So once they hit training camp, they're in a bubble because they're not going to let that's the whole camaraderie and get together.
Of course.
It's so to me, it's going to be if they come, they're going to test them when they get there. So I'm sure there's probably a 2-week before you report.
They should have a 2-week before the training camp starts where they know where they are at.
But they haven't done that yet.
But remember, we talked about this last week. All the NFL is doing is instilling these different fines that you can get fined on for risky behavior.
Yeah, but
there's no bump. There's no actual bubble. There's no actual.
But once they hit training camps, there would be some sort of bubble.
Of course.
The question is not going to be
more strict guidelines. It's
going to be what's going to happen afterwards. It is a long season.
Is there though?
Yeah.
Have they announced that at all?
No, they haven't.
No,
they don't announce
they are.
They're hoping teams, I guess, will just do it
Their
individually.
better bet
We saw how that went when we left it up to the states.
would be to go ahead and wait and see what happens to basketball and hockey before they make a decision. I mean, postponing, but they don't want to postpone their draft. They're going. I mean, heck, they've already said, well, we're going to remove them with the first 8 seats. I think it's the first 8 seats of the stadium. Our first 8 rows are going to be removed, but we're going to go ahead and sell advertising space on those.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think the NFL owners and the NFL Players Association, to your point, have got to get it together.
They got to have the hard conversations. Okay, what happens if your star quarterback gets it?
Yeah.
He has to sit out. Does the other team have to sit out? Does your team, like, what is the schedule look like? Also, just starting right now, everyone needs to get and if you're tested, you need. I mean, nothing's set in place. It's kind of strange
like
how
weekly tests or something.
Yeah, and be like, okay, because if you're sick now, that's okay.
It
But
almost feels like
we need to make sure you're quarantining and staying away because right now, July 27th is the date for almost all these teams. That
it
hasn't
almost
changed.
feels like they're not announcing anything on purpose to string it along as far as they can until they can't.
That's
almost like they're not planning on really going through with this, but they want it to make it look like we are.
It almost seems like it.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think that's what they're doing. I think I think they're just doing a really bad job.
Yeah.
I mean, because no reason they would be doing that either side because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Nobody would just say, "Hey, let's
take a year off."
Let's take a year off."
Well,
Fans, if they don't have fans in a stadium, they would barely notice it in the pocketbooks. I mean, that's how much the TV deals in the NFL.
NFL, yeah.
They are planning. I mean, there's NFL owners who have already stated they will have fans in the stands.
Yeah, Baltimore came out like
and
14,000.
almost to the point of the governor be damned. This is what we want to do. But to your point, if they don't come up with something set in stone, this is how it's going to be. It is going to be one giant cluster.
Yeah.
The biggest sport, though, is basketball. I still can't see that through how they're going to be able to play basketball safely.
They're building a bubble. The NBA is spending $150 million actually building a bubble. They're bringing in not a physical bubble, but it's a resort where they're providing food, housing, entertainment for everybody.
You're talking
like top security. People are sneaking their,
But you're talking the actual physical sport. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you're also talking about a very short, for basketball, you're talking for a very short period of time. Because they're going to go right into a playoff mode. They're going to go right to the playoffs. So you're not talking an extended season.
But we've hit an unimaginable peak right now with how many cases in the United States. So we're at like a really, really, I think shaky time where there's so many active cases, but also so many are false. So many are not they're giving false positives and false negatives. So how about this? Corona itself is the scapegoat. It sucks. That's
every week.
I mean, we can put that as our goat of the year.
Yeah.
Our scapegoat of the year.
But it's like nothing, you can't trust anything
of
anymore.
our lives. Yeah, for sure.
I get screened several times a day going in and out of work, and I'm sure that's more than what the athletes are doing now. And I'm not like to your point, what are they actually doing to prepare?
Well, I think the NBA, a lot of them are quarantining. I
Yeah.
think a lot of them are self-quarantining before they go.
Taking
and
it actual
before they-
serious.
The
Yes.
ones that want to go back and play.
Right.
I mean, we've seen the ones who don't, and which
Right.
is fine.
Yeah.
But the ones that want to play,
Yeah.
they want to play.
So we're not talking to you. She freaks me out. She
Our
freaks-
fifth member of the squad, Siri, doesn't understand.
my other personalities.
This
Here they
break-
come.
This break is brought to you by.
And I think it has a lot to do with it's playoff time. The regular season's pretty much over.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay. The guys that know they have a shot to win,
Yeah.
they are probably internally, maybe not announcing it externally, but they're basically saying, hey, if you need to get out because of your family or high risk, get
Yeah.
out now. But if we're doing this,
Yeah.
you're in, and we expect you to take it
Didn't
seriously.
they already catch a few of them doing secret practices together? So I mean,
Oh, I'm sure.
because they
Hear
want to
about-
win.
Sure.
Did you guys hear about baseball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about
We
that
talked about
last
last
week.
week.
It's so
Yeah,
cute.
Sandlot. Yeah.
Sandlot
Yeah,
game.
I
that's
love
so
you watching
cute.
that.
Okay, so sorry, that was a good skate.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got my goat. Staying with the NFL, but changing subjects, is my goat is Julian Edelman. I can't stand him as a player. He drives me absolutely crazy. I think he's one of the most overrated players, and I mean, I think he's also a cheater. But I think what he did twice. But I think what he did about the whole Deshaun Jackson comments were pretty amazing, pretty fantastic. So Julian Edelman, he's Jewish, and Deshaun Jackson came out with some pretty anti-Semitic remarks this week, and either Deshaun Jackson just was not educated, or I mean he's anti-Semitic. But like when he doubled down on the anti-Semitic remark. He's like, oh no, you guys don't understand what I'm saying. This is what I mean. And everyone's like, dude, that's the most anti-Semitic remark. That's the worst part. And then a lot of people were pretty silent about it because they didn't know how to handle it. But Julian Edelman handled it the best way because he didn't get emotional. He condemned the hate, but he didn't condemn Deshaun Jackson. He didn't attack Deshaun Jackson. He said, yo, I know Deshaun Jackson. This is not what he meant. That being said, we got to learn from this because this is unacceptable.
Yeah.
So he basically invited him. He said, hey, I got something for you. Let's go to D.C. I would take you to the Holocaust Museum, and then you take me to the Museum of African American History and Culture. Afterward, we'll grab some burgers and have those uncomfortable conversations. This world needs a little bit more love, compassion, and empathy. So, first off,
Yeah.
he said more,
Yeah,
but it was
yeah.
unbelievable. But the fact, I think, for all of us to learn, especially on social media, is that if somebody said something and it's bad, condemn the hate, but don't condemn the person. Don't be like, Nick, blah, 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 attacking Nick. It's like, let's just have a normal conversation and be like, okay, Nick, why did he say that?
Yeah.
Okay, how can we get this better? Because most of the time, it's just people get emotional and then they get
Yeah.
defensive
Yep.
and then it just builds and
And you don't get anywhere.
and you don't get
Yeah.
anywhere. You're not actually having a normal conversation. That's why, like, on stuff on the internet, I've completely personally it's point. Like, I'm just
And
I get that.
you and I
Completely out
talked
of it.
about this, Robbie, the other day, and the number of stories that really stem off of this one thing. We talked about Matthew Berry.
Yeah.
Another a great story that he kind of got on a soapbox as well, and got very emotional
Yeah.
about this as well. But the other thing too, that irony at its finest. Deshaun Jackson plays for the Philadelphia Eagles, and their owner Jeffrey Lurie actually just finished. I don't know when it comes out. A documentary called "The Meaning of Hitler," and this documentary is actually a look inside white supremacy in America. And so he actually announced just hours after Deshaun Jackson made these anti-Semitic remarks. He announces this. And honestly, if you ask me, it couldn't be any worse for Deshaun Jackson right now.
Yeah,
Because Lurie,
yeah.
Lurie, the Eagles owner, who, let's be real, pays the paycheck of Deshaun Jackson, is very, very outspoken, clearly,
Yeah.
towards the opposite way. The Meaning of Hitler is actually a documentary that is actually shedding light on the white supremacy in America and where it kind of stems from and how America has adopted it in some ways.
Yeah.
And so for this to come about at the same exact time, I mean, it's a perfect storm to really put Deshaun Jackson in a lot of hot water.
yeah.
When you look at where hate speech or you look at emotional speech has gone, I think it's an excellent example of what you're talking about. Is that it's time to take a step back.
Yeah, 100%.
So, great story. I mean,
and granted, I don't think Deshaun Jackson should get released. I think it showed, and I think this is with a lot of these guys, they just don't completely know.
it's
Like that's when Drew Brees got land blasted for saying that. Everyone just got really emotional. Drew Brees should have been really emotional. One person, that's his PR person, for letting him say any of that.
We're in such a high energy, focused, emotional zone right now. Anything could be taken the wrong direction.
Oh, for sure.
So, and that's the part that I think Edelman's comments is what makes it so important.
He
Absolutely.
halted it.
It is time to. It's time to everybody stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deshaun Jackson doesn't hate Jewish people.
Yeah.
Hopefully, that's why
ideally,
and that's why he says let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
And that's why if you leave that conversation, you're like, oh, this dude does hate Jew. Then, but like he said, he talked to you last night, and we had great conversations, and that's something that is needed on all sides. That is something that is needed. The whole outrage, especially when people knew Drew Brees. I mean, Drew Brees, the crazy outrage on Drew Brees to me. I just thought he was tone deaf, but
and what he's done for that New Orleans community.
But keep in mind,
millions of dollars.
The opportunity for people to tear down other people, especially on social media, where you never have to put who your real name is.
Yeah.
It's like a pack of hyenas.
It is. It's you look at someone who makes a comment who could be tone deaf, could be taken out of context, could have been an attempt, could not have followed through a full comment. It's Twitter, or it's been reported, so it's already truncated. It's I mean, there's a great shirt that says "Commas saves lives." It says, "Let's eat grandma." Let's eat how you punctuate. I mean, it is incredible how that can happen. So I think it's a great.
And I just from Edelman to if anybody should have been really upset and mad was that would have been Edelman.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was literally attacking him and his people. So the fact that he was very calm and setting an example, he was definitely my goat.
That's a great goat of the week.
Yeah,
That's a great goat.
Great goat.
All right, so
back to sports, Tim.
Back to sports. Back to sports. Escape. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go with my GOAT first.
Okay.
Make it positive. It goes back to what we talked about for college. The NFL just released the NFL Players Association Marketing and Royalty Fund for last year. The number one person on that list who earned the most money in royalties from marketing was which player?
Current player or just?
No, the NFL. It's the marketing, so it's current and former players. But keep in mind, this is from jersey sales. It's from EA Sports money. Anything that's got the player's name on it.
Was it Kaepernick?
It is not Kaepernick.
Peyton Manning?
It is a retired player. It is Peyton Manning.
Yeah!
I'm going to see myself out right now.
I love him.
That was my number one. That's why I said
Peyton Manning, who last played at Super Bowl 50, made $3.3 million in marketing money from the sale of his shirt and from people wanting to use him in EA Sports games in the pick your team from historic
He's
players.
hilarious. Did y'all see that? Do you remember that commercial they did, the whole Peyton family did, and they were making it was like, oh, pass the whatever. Oh, he can't pass, and it's just and their dad was in it too or something.
The
Yes.
Sports Center commercial where they're taking the tour and Peyton Manning are in the back just fighting with each other.
The Oreos that he the race. I mean,
It's so
he's
great.
So when you sit there and you look at how much money you can make being a great guy.
Yeah, funny. Yeah.
So Tom Brady is second at 2.99.
So it wasn't really close.
No, I mean, here's the thing. So that means that Peyton Manning beat Tom Brady again.
Okay.
Again this year.
Again.
Tom
I mean, so this is from playing cards, jerseys, EA Sports games. I mean, but college players can get in on this too.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at where some of these college jersey sales. I mean, think about this. You look at Johnny Manziel. back in the day when everything was Johnny Football. How much? I wonder how much Texas A&M made on him.
Millions.
Yeah.
Million. That was the first time ever that I was like, oh, maybe players should get paid in college. Because they added like 20,000 more seats in their stadium after he left. Like, he completely...
Yeah, Johnny Football just changed.
Yeah,
I mean, it changed it. So my hat's off to Peyton Manning as well, because if you can be out of the sport for a couple years and still be the highest paid player...
Look, if
marketing.
COVID is this show's all-time scape, I'm fine with putting Peyton up as the all-time guy.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, there. So my scapegoat, and this story, when it struck me, I heard this, and I will tell you, I went right to this. So Stanford scrapped 11 of its 36 sports. And I saw that title, and I Googled one thing right after that. I went right to, what is Stanford's endowment? Stanford's endowment is $27 billion with a B. So they have $27 billion sitting in the bank, and they're $12 million short on these in their sporting department. So they cut men and women's fencing. Don't really know how expensive that could be. Women's field hockey.
Oh, that's messed up.
Lightweight rowing, co-ed and women's sailing, squash, synchronized swimming, men's volleyball, and wrestling. Now, we can all make a case. Some of these are not.
Is good.
We can make a case that some of these sports are off the wall.
Are you upset about the synchronized swimming?
No, synchronized swimming. That is the cheapest. I mean, they already have a pool.
Yeah.
How much cheaper could that?
Yeah.
sport
Why
be?
would they? Why would they?
Wrestling's
cut that?
very surprising.
Yeah.
Wrestling's good money, too.
I got another stat for you, which is even more surprising. Because they have a $27 billion, billion with a B, endowment, the door rate for Stanford is $71,000 tuition. The average tuition after financial aid for an average student at Stanford is $13,000.
What if someone's finagling with the money over there? So it shows they have that much, but really they don't because they've been taking it.
Wait, their average is 13,000
After financial aid.
Wow.
Keep in mind, if you think that the door rate at Harvard is what they say, and that's what everyone's paying, there's financial aid
Right.
out the yin-yang to schools.
What are the point though? So if people are actually paying only $13,000, and that's the
tuition.
average.
That's just
tuition. Obviously,
is
room,
average, and that's
room
average.
and board, and then books.
That's
all
a
that
whole other.
combined.
Yeah, that's a whole other.
Yeah, and then obviously you got books, which are all of that.
That's
double.
a whole other.
Yeah, that's
$300 a book.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably another $13,000.
yeah. I was gonna say.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not disputing that charge.
but guys, if it has to be looked at as a business. These schools don't now. Granted, that same article I did read that they are honoring every scholarship for the next year.
Okay.
They are just make that clear. It's not like
Whoop-de-doo.
they're
That's like a little ding in
so-
that.
yeah, but what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to lose money?
No.
Is that what we're saying, that they owe it to?
They put these
student
sports
athletes?
they put these sports in for a reason, and I can understand, and I understand it's a business.
Yeah.
That is not in dispute, but I have a hard time believing that you have to cut these sports
Indefinitely.
because because you're short $12 million.
Oh, it's a
Hold on,
cost
is that
saving
forever,
thing.
though?
Yeah, they do it. It's a cost
Yes,
saving
they're
thing.
guys. I have preached on this for like the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Get used to this. This is the first. College athletics will never look the same. It may be the demise of the NCAA, but it's not the demise of the NCAA that we've been wanting. We've been wanting college athletics to come up with a new, better, less fraud system. Well, all of a sudden, the reason this is going to happen is because sports are going to look completely different.
So, do you think that it has anything to do with maybe how good those specific teams were at Stanford?
No.
I don't. I mean,
No.
if you look at
No.
okay, so if you look at this, okay,
Or attendance?
is
like the
is
attendance?
squash? I mean, what are the opportunities for squash? And I'm
Right.
sorry, we're about to lose the squash
Right,
audience.
right.
I don't know.
So, like the future opportunities.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean to sit there and say
I'm
that
surprised about field hockey, though. That's such
Field
a
ho-
popular sport.
Field hockey,
I was
Must be
shocked
expensive.
with-
It's got to be expensive, but field hockey.
being where they're at for rowing and sailing shocked me.
Yeah.
Men's volleyball.
That is that's one of my favorite sports to watch.
That's a Title IX move. For
Which
sure.
All right, explain that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Okay, so
Explain
Title
That's a Title IX move.
Title IX, for every male athletic scholarship that you have,
Yeah.
you must have a female athletic scholarship. If they're going to cut field hockey, they have to find a men's sport to cut.
But it's just, I'm shocked at a couple of them.
So
Well, because that's why men's
when
and women's fencing was taken out. So that's
I'm
1-to-1.
sorry,
That-
I could do.
But that's 1-to-1.
Okay.
Women's field hockey. So now
And that's
a
large amount
So
of
now you have to
scholarships.
find. So when you take away field hockey, now you have to find
Yeah.
a
Two.
men's sport.
You find. Yeah, you find men's.
Yeah.
You have to
sport.
find a men's sport
Yeah.
that honestly is not making money. Probably
Yeah.
men's volleyball. I mean, this is. I shared this opinion a few weeks ago. Title IX is great for college athletics. It has provided so many opportunities.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I'm a huge proponent of Title IX.
Yeah.
However, if we truly want college sports to survive,
Yeah.
my opinion is that Title IX has to be sidelined for probably 1 to 3 years.
Yeah.
In
Or
order
just needs
for-
to be-
in order for
or
this
needs
to
to
be
be
survived
revamped.
through COVID. You guys, there are now. There was a study in 2014. I apologize for not having much more up to date numbers than that. But only 24 athletic programs in the entire country, Division I athletic programs, only 24 total athletic programs, made a profit in 2014.
But when
That
you
just shocks
but
me.
when you say that they made a profit, I mean, to your point, what's a profit? Is it the number of people who enroll? Yeah, because you're talking about the selectivity of the enrollment.
It's
I
dollars compared to scholarships.
So, but
Yeah.
where are they
Compared to
getting their
staffing.
money from? I will tell you that I chose the school that I went to because I was able to participate in college
absolutely.
athletics. And I think that a lot of students make some of these decisions on what they can be in extracurricularly. Am I going to be the biggest proponent for squash players? I'm not trying to be, but maybe I should be. I guess they have a place, and these are things that started as clubs that became NCAA sports for a reason. So they have that opportunity. They're out there for a reason. I just think you have a hard time justifying your problem when you have a $27 billion endowment. Would it be?
I agree. I'm on Team Tim today.
Yeah, we have to.
There's shirts for that.
We have to
Oh
say
God,
that
Team Tim.
the college athletics, they have to be able to sustain themselves as much as they want. With most college athletic systems are already borrowing money from the academic side. Now all of a sudden you take the two things that are really paying for the entire athletic department, football and men's basketball. Men's basketball, most of the revenue comes from March Madness alone. We've lost March Madness already. We're about to lose football. We're about to lose football revenue in a big, big way. Without those two, you have to start cutting programs. Now you mix in Title IX, now you have to double the programs.
Yeah.
Stanford is just the first.
But using your example, that means that every school would have to cut every program. I mean,
That's literally what I'm saying
But
we
keep
need to
in
be
mind
ready
this.
for.
So synchronized swimming, the pool is there.
Yeah.
Okay, the pool's still going to be used by the swim team. So the only expense you have is your coach's expense and your travel. For all of them, it's not like there's a huge upkeep that's not going to be done already. The field hockey field, guarantee you the soccer team's still going to use the same field.
Stanford doesn't owe it to these players to do this.
I agree. We're going to agree to disagree on that one. I think $27 billion. With a B.
With a B.
With a B.
That's a lot of money.
And that means that there's a lot of money that's out there. Gang, we have so much to talk about in such a short period of time. We could go a little bit longer to hit some of these if you want. I want to go right into this. I'm going to skip ahead to protests inside of sports.
Yeah.
Or we can save it for next week and make it a whole discussion. It's up to you all.
Oh, let's save it for next week. That's a good one. I love that.
All right,
conversation.
then we'll make that for next week because
Thanks a
they-
lot.
I'm
I
like-
had so much about.
I'm like
It's a
right in the
huge-
middle. I'm like I go both ways. For
Okay.
sure.
I love this discussion.
Yeah.
Then
Okay.
I'm going to shrink it down. I'm going to ask a real good question of you all. I'm going to give you a name of some players, and I want you to tell me what team you think that they are most famous for, and then what they all share in common.
Okay.
So it's one team.
Yeah. So these are Major League Baseball players. John Smoltz.
Braves.
Braves.
Okay. Tony Perez.
I don't know.
No, he's Cincinnati, a little bit before you guys' time.
Oh.
Ricky Henderson.
A's.
Okay. Andre Dawson.
Royals.
We'll go with Chicago, but that's okay. Chicago Cubs. And
Loser.
Tom Seaver.
Okay.
He's a pitcher, by the way.
Tom Seaver, I know he's a pitcher.
White Sox.
White Sox.
All right. What do all of these players share in common? There are two things that they share in common.
Never won a World Series?
No, that is not. That is
That's
incorrect.
Schmaltz.
John Schmaltz. That would immediately would eliminate
Yeah.
that as a. I
I
will give
mean,
you one that's
these are
very easy.
some of the greatest pitchers. So I mean, all won a Cy Young.
Well, Ricky Henderson was an outfielder,
Yeah.
That's a good point.
so that was a good point. Andre Dawson was too. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a help on one of them. They're all great players, so they are all in the.
Hall of Fame.
There you go.
Well,
Now,
they all played for the Boston Red Sox, right?
That is correct. They all played at one time for the Boston Red Sox.
They convened before. They convened before. They absolutely convened before.
You got no faith in me?
Zero.
No faith?
Zero.
I knew that.
This is the new segment called.
I knew that.
This is the new segment called "Stuff Those in Baseball."
When did Ricky Henderson?
They all played at one. There's actually a few other players that all played for the.
Really?
Yeah.
I knew Schmaltz. I remember he played and it was a disaster. But
Yeah, they all played at one time for them. And I thought it was amazing when I looked at it because I'm like going, "Holy crap! I didn't."
that's
realize
funny.
that."
That's
Yeah.
funny.
So way to go!
Thank
Boom.
you.
I'm not even remotely believing that was true.
Zero chance. Not for a
Wow.
Are
second.
you serious? Really?
Really quick for all of those people who now want to give us the sexist comments from these two.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Why would I not know that?
No, not even.
Serve it up, okay. So I want to talk local for a little bit, and then we'll talk about something else. But this was very interesting because obviously we're on the Dan Snyder watch.
Yeah.
Dan Snyder,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
Obviously.
We've got our fifth chair ready to go for Dan Snyder. He was from NBC Sports reported yesterday that Fred Smith, who is the chairman of Federal Express and a minor owner of the Washington Redskins,
That's FedEx for those of you.
for FedEx, shrink it down, led a minor revolt against Dan Snyder. So all three of the minority owners, and minority we mean less money. We're
Yeah.
not necessarily meaning by any demographic group. They went to Dan Snyder again, according to this reporting, and told him that they wanted him to sell the rest of the team to them because they're basically tired of the direction. They own combined 40% of the team. Dan Snyder and Dan Snyder's family own the rest. And Dan Snyder obviously refused. They have now said they want out of their ownership interests in the team.
Makes
So,
sense.
two things for me. One, bold strategy, Cotton. I do love it. I do love it. But my question would be, who out there would want to buy, and I mean this, who out there would want to buy 40% of the Redskins? Because all you're doing now is stepping into the same shoes as them, where Dan Snyder is still ultimate authority. Right?
Can they
Wrong?
get out of that? Can they do
They
that?
can sell it.
But
They
they'd
can
have
se-
to find a buyer.
Yeah.
I am sure that Dan Snyder probably has right of first refusal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If he
probably
wants
buy
to.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure Dan probably can't afford right of
Yeah,
first refusal.
How much would it cost if you could give me an idea?
The Redskins at one time were the most valuable franchise
Right.
in sports.
40%.
Now they're what, a billion?
Yeah.
They're what, $1 billion
With a B.
franchise?
With
Yeah.
a B?
It's a B. So,
I mean, they're actually, you
the
know what?
whole
No, look it up.
100% is a B.
You can look it up. You can look up what the
All right.
value of the Washington Redskins is.
But the value is also different than the selling price. It would
Yes.
probably sell
Well,
for,
no. Keep that in mind.
Usually goes for more.
The value of the team is on that selling price, and
Okay, 3.4
I
billion.
would say it
For
would
the
sell,
whole team.
It
The
would
whole
sell
team.
for
So,
4. It would sell
40%.
for
and that was, and we can all thank the
So
people
I
who
would-
bought the.
I would definitely see this sale, but being 1.5 to 2 billion, somewhere there for 40%.
Yeah.
And someone will buy it. Somebody will buy it because the benefit to them is when Dan Snyder gets out, they would have first right of
Yep.
refusal to buy the rest of the team when Dan Snyder wants out.
So what kind of person if they want to buy 40%, then long term they would maybe potentially want to buy the full team.
well,
Someone who has that kind of money, who would actually do that?
Donald Trump.
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos, that's a great one.
Yeah.
But
Jeff
would
Bezos.
does he support the Redskins? Like,
He
don't
does
have to.
He doesn't have to.
You don't have
You
to.
become a fan.
He will.
I mean,
I
it's
mean,
your team.
yeah.
You know,
You're
Yeah,
not-
yeah, yeah.
Ironically,
If I
guess
bought The New England Patriots. I'm going to become a New England Patriot fan.
I mean, eventually he'll own. Eventually, it's somebody
Okay.
who could eventually own the team.
Yeah.
I mean, a little known fact: Steve Jobs' wife owns part of the Washington Capitals now.
Really?
So,
Justin Timberlake owns part of the Memphis
That's
Grizzlies
my man.
NBA team.
That is my man.
So, he's under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
He's announced after our show because we came up
course.
because of our
Yeah,
show.
that was
Absolutely.
yeah.
So influential.
Or the influence our show has. He announced that he's going to change the name, but, I'm sorry. When he announced, everyone implies that he's going to change the name.
That's
Yes.
just to buy some time, probably. I mean,
He's already said he's going to keep the same team colors.
So the owners aren't going to sell if he doesn't change the team, right? If he
It
changes
changes
the
it.
They
name,
made it sound like it's you or
I
us.
don't know. I don't think there's any recovering from this.
really.
As partner, now you can be partners and just not go to the same box,
Right.
and you can own it and never show up.
Right.
But I just don't. There's not really a recovery where you're going to be all happy go
You're not
lucky
gonna
at
have
the
a good
next.
relationship.
Yeah, I don't think. And the sad thing is, though, if you own less than 51% or 49.1,
Well, here's
you own nothing.
Here's a small. Yeah, that's the other problem.
That's
When it
nuts.
comes to decision making, the fact that Dan Snyder owns at least 50% means that your opinion does not
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Well,
If there were-
but Dan Snyder does have FedEx Field, so he does have to
That-
placate the sponsor.
That is where I was going with this next. Is that
They've got-
if the FedEx actually owns a part of 40%, I don't know what that exactly is, but with naming rights, you do have to appease to that
Got
FedEx
leverage.
ownership.
Because I'm
that's
has that
why
leverage.
he for the first time not is only entertaining these talks, but he's actually like, okay, we're going to change the name because he's like, oh, wait a second, like,
yeah.
I'm not going to lose the team, but I'm going to lose a lot of money.
I think, and this is a semi-bold statement, but I think the writing's on the wall. I think regardless of what happens, FedEx is out when their contract's up.
Let's see. Here's where this is an interesting conversation, ish for you and I. If I were negotiating a stadium rights deal, and I was going to assign my dealership or my family name to a stadium right, there is going to be a moralities clause somewhere in that contract.
No doubt.
And I think
Yeah.
FedEx would, and if FedEx doesn't have it, then they have terrible attorneys. And I doubt that they have terrible attorneys. Or if they need one that's not an attorney, I'll be glad to help them with their next deal.
Or if
For
they
the,
like
for the right amount of money, I can give them this idea. There has to be an moralities out clause, because if you find out that you've committed millions with an M of dollars
Yeah.
to a advertising campaign, and you find, I mean, you're not going to go because the team sucks, but your
Yeah.
team decides that it's going to just, and I'm not going to say this is going to happen. So, but let's just say Dan Snyder appears to be the worst human being on the planet.
Yeah, something happens. Yeah.
Something where he's truly. There's got to be a morality.
Okay, Carolina. How about the Panthers?
which is where I was going with that.
Yeah.
So
Now, granted, to play devil's advocate a little bit, FedEx signed this deal when the Washington Redskins were still the Washington Redskins.
but they didn't.
Nothing changed.
Nothing at that point in time.
It was still.
Sometimes things change.
Yeah. No. I get that, but it's also.
I mean,
Dan Snyder, I think, is just a little bit of tone deaf, but you can't say that he's necessarily.
no.
a
There's no
racist.
tone deaf on this. He
He
deaf.
refuses.
He's just straight
He
deaf.
Okay,
refuses.
he is the ostrich. He is the guy who put his head in the sand.
Yeah.
And do not talk to me. And
Yeah.
I see no evil. See no evil. I am speaking no evil.
I didn't hear you mentioned that they're going to keep the same colors. That is what
keep
they're
the same-
doing.
Yeah. I mean, he's.
That's okay.
And the funny part about it is everyone's trying to come up with something that keeps the song. Some words that will match the hell of the Reds.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of
Hail to-
rumors. Warriors.
I heard, right? Or did you someone mentioned that last week?
Yeah,
Warriors would finish.
No, I think
Yeah.
Warriors is a complete
Oh,
rumor.
time out. The
He owns the rights. He owns the rights to the
Right.
name Warrior.
Yeah.
So
Well,
why
also,
is he
too-
fighting it so bad?
Because
I don't think he's fighting anymore.
He
But why
can't.
did
But
he
why
fight it
did
for
he?
years?
Yes, why?
because he's.
tradition.
Tradition.
I
But
mean-
still,
I mean, that's what
It's-
that's
Yeah.
what their
even-
answer
I'll
is.
tell you what. Even Redskin fans that are not like they're like whatever the name, I don't care.
Yeah.
Everyone is like, Clean
do
slate.
Yeah.
Do
Just
it.
do it.
We need a
Just-
clean
Yeah.
slate.
We
Our
do.
team sucks. We
We
need a
do.
new clean slate.
Please, anything.
Our team just needs the new energy.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
Yes.
exactly
Just
what
help
it
us
is.
out.
I would like to sell New Jerseys or something.
No, no,
You
like,
know,
I've talked to my buddy. He's a big Redskin fan, and he said, "Dude, I don't really care about the name, but
Yeah.
we need something new."
So,
We
did
need
you
a
guys hear
fresh
about the
start."
Globetrotters involved with all
yes,
this too?
the Globetrotters
So-
got in on it too.
They're when you go see the Globetrotters play,
Yeah.
the Harlem Globetrotters always play the Washington D.C. Generals. That's
I don't
the
know if it's DC. It's the Washington.
Washington Generals. I believe it's the Washington Generals. You're right. They always play the Washington Generals. They are just as much as actors and as talented as the Globetrotters. You have to be really good to always
Really?
lose the way
Yeah.
you lose.
Okay.
But they own the rights to the Washington Generals. They have actually come out publicly and said we'd be more than happy to sell you the rights to the Washington Generals.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, which is another losing team for a losing team, which is fair.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah, they just carry
But
the
no, Washington.
once again, tradition.
tradition.
Clean slate. I like the
Tradition.
clean slate though.
Yes.
It would totally just
I would say that they need it. I mean, Ron Rivera's coming in. He's going to try to do it. You know, and a lot of things are changing.
And the timing is perfect.
Yeah, he's
Rivera, brand new slates.
now the nice thing is if they stay with the Warriors, they can use the Spear
Yes.
logo. Florida State Spear is still better looking,
Yeah.
but they can go to the Spear logo. They can use the dark jerseys. The darker
Yeah.
jerseys. They gain a lot of flexibility. If this is the part I don't understand. If I am Dan Snyder, I start going, okay, I'm going to lose all the money I've got, or the only potential downside for him is he would have to buy back, in theory, all of the paraphernalia that is sitting on shelves that
Yes.
has been licensed with his logo.
Yes.
Now, if he can find some way, and so don't think that that's not
Could he not just
mysteriously in this
donate it?
deal.
Of course. Of course.
If
he
he
not
can
just-
find some way to get out of having to pay or to find a way to negotiate a deal that allows him to get out of that, then I think that he would.
But the one thing, and you are right. He is definitely thinking of that. But to show how selfish and short-sighted that is, the sales from a new logo,
Would well exceed.
Right.
exceed.
oh
Well,
my gosh,
Yeah, I mean-
probably five times plus.
Correct. I mean,
Hail to the Warriors.
I like it. I like it.
Hail.
I mean, they throw a
I
lot
like
of
it.
names out there. Generals would still work. There's lots of things that they could do.
I like Warriors though. It has the vibe
It-
for
it-
football.
and
It
it's-
does.
And their spear logos pretty
I-
good.
I think I saw it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
the
could
spear,
work.
the spear helmet is pretty bad. It's
Yeah,
pretty,
it is.
badass.
It is
Now I
pretty
know you're
good.
about to talk about something, and I meant to mention this earlier. My friend had sent me this quote, and I was going to try to see if I could bring it into like how it's funny. It's please scream inside your heart. It's what a Japanese theme park is asking riders to do to prevent spreading coronavirus.
If that's not
could we
sports
do-
related, I don't know what it is.
Well, no, like,
What-
could they do something like
Keep it
just
quiet.
keep it in your heart, keep it in.
Oh,
Keep it in.
So we got a good comment. CJ Fedua says, travel track. They drive somewhere to run. I don't even run to the fridge anymore.
Yes, but track isn't just running; it's also disc and
It's jumping. It's
long jump,
yeah,
high
yeah,
jump,
that's
all
true.
of that. Yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
That's
awesome.
That is funny.
that's a great little comment. So we're getting close to the end here. I did have one more thing to talk about. I think we'll postpone that. We do have something exciting for everybody. We have our first official shirt. It's our No Goats, No Glory shirt, which you can see right here. It's going to be available for sale on Custom Ink. We will go ahead and we'll leave the way to get on there. Proceeds from this, we're going to go to our foundational, which we don't have a foundation, but we're going to call it that.
We
for right
could
now.
have the viewers nominate causes or foundations
Yeah, well, yeah,
on
okay.
the next podcast in the comments.
So we're going to be using the money here to go to local charities in the area. So we're pretty excited about it. It's No Goats, No Glory. We've got a tank top version and we've
Oh,
got
cool.
a t-shirt
Ooh.
version. So
It's for me, not you.
those are up there. They're available. If we need to add more colors, you can leave comments for us. We'll be glad to
Cool.
do it. Our goal is for all of our 2 listeners to pick up one. We would appreciate it. We're pretty excited. We'll add a few others just to go along. We're at the top of the hour. I do have one other topic if you guys want to go a little bit longer.
Let's do it.
contracts are flying around the NFL, left and right. Contracts are flying around basketball, baseball. We've talked about all of these. D'Angelo Hall, Washington Redskin and Virginia Tech grad, called himself a greedy knucklehead for not joining the Patriots when he had the chance. They wouldn't have given. It said for over just a few $1 million, I could have played for a dynasty. Followed it up with a few years ago, Malcolm Smith, who was the NFL MVP, the Super Bowl MVP, left the Patriots and went to the Raiders, and said it's amazing. It's amazing difference to go from a team that's built to win and all they care about is winning to a team that cares about contracts. How important is it to play for a winning team versus getting a contract?
To each their own. It has to be.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Hey, I always think as a player, you want to go where people are going to love you. That's why I was like, I would never go to the Dolphins or the Buccaneers. Nobody's going to care, Like, yeah, if you're good, but they're not diehard fans, Same thing. Like, I would never go to the Chargers, out west. They're just not.
Would you play for the Bills?
I would definitely play for the Bills
All right.
if
Crazy
I
up there.
got enough money. Because my number 2 thing would be weather. Like, San Diego back in the day would have been great, but their fans don't love you.
Florida pays no taxes.
Florida pays no taxes. And then number 3 would be winning and then money. But, I think there's other things. People talk about the money, but they want to go what they're obsessed about. That's why people love going to Buffalo. Not because, Buffalo stinks. It's cold, but they're like, man, I felt like I was in college again. That's what everybody says because they make a play and people
supportive.
lose their mind.
There's nothing
There's
better than
something
that.
about that,
Yeah.
and that's why hockey players early on the process went to the KHL because they're like, I'm adored there. I'm obsessed about, and then things happened and.
I think I would say that
Each their own, though.
if you're
Yeah.
going to look at a team and you realize that a team is built to win, that they're dedicated for winning, you're going to take less money.
Yeah.
And here's the part when we talk about are the Patriots cheaters or not.
He's starting to twitch. Stop it. Stop
If
it.
you have everybody committed to winning,
Uh-huh.
and they are taking less money to play there. Randy Moss. You look at all these players that said, you know what, I want to play to win. I think that says something about the organization
I think so.
and the
one
people
of the-
you can attract.
One of the things that make Tom Brady as great as he is are the sacrifices he made
Yeah.
with his contracts.
Mm-hmm.
We said this last week. That's
Yeah.
what makes him so great. That's what people. I will say this, and I could be wrong, but this is my mindset. I think that money and big contracts does come with an amount of every single player wants to feel respected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want to feel respected.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the only way you can show respect these days in professional athletics is dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, I think the other.
However-
no, that's. I'm sorry. I'll let you.
No. But however, I don't think I think there are way more players that at the end of their career would say, I made $300 million over the course of my entire 10-year career. Or, even far less than that. I made $50 million over the course of my 10-year career. I really wish I would have one of two things: won a Super Bowl,
Yeah.
or I really wish I would have made $52 million. I think people always look back at the end and say, I wish I would have taken a little less money and won a Super Bowl.
I would agree with, and that's how
I think-
your
I think-
factors
and-
of liking the area
Yeah.
too.
But during the actual negotiating process, I think they're short-minded.
Yeah.
And I
yeah.
think you're seeing, you better respect me. I
Yeah.
want a bigger contract,
Yeah.
yada, yada, yada. And at the end of their career, they're like, man, I turned down the Patriots. I could have won 3 Super Bowls.
Now-
But if you take so much money, and Patrick Mahomes has taken a lot of money,
He has taken a lot of money.
how can you expect a team to hire good linemen to protect you, good running backs to help open up your game, and somebody who can catch the ball? Oh, and then by the way, there are 2 other facets of the game that we have to have because
That we haven't even addressed yet.
because hey, here's the thing: if you throw for 5 touchdowns
But yet-
and 500 yards, and we lose by 3, we still lost.
40%
Yeah.
of their team's
Now,
money is going to Patrick
granted-
Mahomes right now.
Granted, they had to pay him that money.
If there's
They
one
had to
quarterback
pay
that
them.
deserves it, it's Patrick Mahomes. though.
And this is
He better for 10 years be able to throw the ball,
But
run the ball, and catch the ball.
Teams
Actually, he should be able to tackle
And
and
then
play
get
line.
on the defensive line and go and play Iron Man.
teams though that have a history of being stuck there and being close, but like always just like quarterback away.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't like if they never win another Super Bowl.
But
He will be
the
forever.
Ravens win a Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer.
And
they say,
yes.
Okay, time out though.
But
There's
also
gonna
the
be
Chiefs-
exceptions.
The Chiefs never won ever. They were so close. They won it with Mahomes. They never want Mahomes.
Look,
to
I'm
win,
not saying
ever.
I'm not saying that a long-term contract for a player is a bad thing. I think a long-term contract with guaranteed money for Patrick Mahomes, I think that's something he should want. But I think that if you can't build a team around me, we'll go back to hockey. And I'm sorry. If you look at Alex Ovechkin, and you look at he signed an amazingly long contract. I mean, it was crazy at the time, and everyone goes, "Oh my God!" They even actually interviewed Ted Leonsis and said, "Hey, what do you think about this contract?" He goes, "I wish I could have made it longer."
Yeah.
But they were still able to build a team around Alex Ovechkin, and I do believe he's going to take less money next season so that they can do that.
To Robbie's point, though, that's a solid example of Trent Dilfer. However, when you look at the last 20 quarterbacks, 30 quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl, Trent Dilfer is the one that stands out that he's not an elite quarterback or was an elite quarterback in the league. Now, the last thing that I will throw out to you guys is just an analogy right now. If any of us are walking on the street and we drop a $5 bill and Patrick Mahomes does the same thing, if it takes Patrick Mahomes 3 seconds to stop, turn around, find the $5 bill, bend over and pick it up, it is not worth his time.
Well, if Patrick Mahomes stops, bends over, and turns around and picks it up, I think it's barred by his contract. So I don't see that happening. Everybody, this has been a great show. We went a little bit longer. I saved the insult this time because I wanted to give us some extra time to talk. Or actually, more importantly, I just forgot, which shows my talent level here. Thank you for joining us here. I am Robbie Perry.
I'm Rob Perry.
Robbie Perry.
And I'm Robert Perry.
And we'll see you next time here on the bench.
We got you. And then I got both of you. Or we got both of you. We were teamwork today. I was like giggling. I was like saying, and I was like, oh.
You gotta admit that was she timed it.
That was very good.